If you're relocating to Kansas City, it's your first time moving here, or maybe it's been years, decades even, since you've lived here, it can be really difficult planning and preparing your move back. So in this video, I'm going to give you the top tips, tricks, and strategies that have helped thousands of other people just like you successfully relocate to Kansas City. If you're new to the channel, then welcome. My name's Massa, and I help people buy and sell homes here in the Kansas City metro. I make these videos because I know relocation's difficult. You're doing your research, you're trying to find the best place to live, and that's exactly what you'll see on this channel. Subscribe so you don't miss any of it, or market reports, or property tours. Hit the like button if you enjoy this video. And of course, if you're looking to purchase a home while you're relocating to Kansas City, either now or you'd like to settle down, find the best area, and purchase later on, I would love to work with you. All of my contact information's in the description. Either send me a text, an email, or follow the link to my website where you can book a one-on-one Zoom call with me. I'll give you the top 3 to 5 places that are specific and custom to your needs. Let's get started. I'm packing this video with as many details that will help you out as possible. So just to keep things organized, we're going to start with the preparation, which, keep in mind, the more prep work, the more research you do ahead of time, the easier the rest of the process is going to be. And then after we cover the preparation, we're going to cover the home purchase process. In the case that you are relocating, wanting to purchase a home now during the relocation process, or whether you're wanting to rent for a few months before you jump into the housing market. So let's get started with the preparation. First things first, I'm going to give you all of the best websites that you should definitely be using, or at least checking out, to see which ones you like to visit. This will give you a little bit more insight as to what areas would be better for you and how to make sure that they check off all of your boxes. So here's the list of them. I'm going to put them on the screen so you can see all of them. We've got niche.com, which creates a profile on basically every city that you'll find in the United States. This is based off of census data. People go and review these cities, so you can go through and read the reviews to see if it would make a good fit for you or not. You've also got neighborhoodscout.com, which is very similar, pulls data from the census, gives you a broad overall picture. I would look at both of these, just figure out which one of them you like, because they're both going to give you similar results and similar data. Next up, we've got bestplaces.net. This data also comes from the census, but you'll find more specific information when it comes to the cost of living. They'll even provide a graphic, like a map graphic, that'll show you the cost of living in one area versus the other, which many of my clients have found very useful when trying to select the best suburb for them. Now, of course, on niche.com, you will find information on the schools, although another site that is just dedicated to finding some of the best schools lies in greatschools.org. They rank the schools 1 to 10. They'll rank the districts, so you know that you're moving to a suburb that has some of the best schools around. Now, some other tools that you're undoubtedly using right now, one is YouTube. I'm not the only guy. I know you most likely watch videos from other real estate agents who are making videos about them moving to Kansas City, and by all means, continue that. Any city that you search, you're most likely going to find a video. I've built out pretty much every suburb in Johnson County, and I'm currently working on building out videos on Missouri. I'm just going to continue. So subscribe so you don't miss any of those. The last resource that I think is really important is Google Street View. This will allow you to see exactly what these cities look like. It's updated pretty regularly every couple years, if not more frequent than that. And a lot of my clients have found it very helpful, either when looking at properties, looking at places to rent, or just figuring out if they would connect with and a suburb would be a good fit for them. The second recommendation that I make to my clients, whether they're purchasing a home right away or they're going to rent a home, is to plan a discovery trip. And this all depends on your timeline and your finances as far as, when can you fit that in? Is there a weekend that would work well for you that you can get time off work? I think this is certainly something that we want to prioritize, because you can do all of the research. You can look at all the pictures, just like when you're searching for a home. The pictures are often very different than the feeling you get when you step inside of that location, that neighborhood, or that home. So on this discovery trip, our primary objective is to rule out any of the locations that don't quite fit our checklist and to narrow down our list of locations that would be suitable for us. So what I recommend, 3 things. The first is that we stay in an Airbnb in one of the neighborhoods or one of the suburbs that we think would be a good fit for us. And that way we can confirm or deny it. Staying in a hotel, it makes it so much more difficult, and it's not going to give you a great picture or a great idea of if that's the place for you. Now, second, on day number 1 of this trip, I suggest, and I'll provide a list to my clients as to, places that would fit their interest that I think they should go see, and they can kind of feel out the different neighborhoods and suburbs and see what they like and don't like. And the reason we do this first is because on day 2, I'm going to schedule about 3 to 5 property tours. And we stay under 5. We don't do any more than 5 because it's draining. It takes a lot of energy and it's an emotional process. Nobody wants to see more than 5 homes, so that's where we'll cap it. But since we've only got 3 to 5 homes to look at, day 1, we're ruling out all the homes in the locations that are not a good fit for you. Okay, because we're battling time here. We want to make the best use of your time. So the second part of this is I'm going to tour while you're on day 1. I'm going to tour and line up all of the homes for you that we'll tour on day 2. So I'm going to pre-screen them so that we're not stepping foot in homes that we're going to walk right out of because they're not a good fit. In fact, this will help us make sure that the homes that we do see are ones that you're actually interested in. Now, the last part, if you are purchasing a home, most likely we're not going to write an offer on one of these homes. Sometimes it happens, most of the time it doesn't, but this will give you a good feeling of what these homes actually look like. In the event that you are wanting to rent a home instead of purchase one right off the bat, this is a situation where we still want to follow that kind of template, that process. We want to do our research, we want to plan the discovery trip, so we're not renting in an area that we're going to regret, an area with bad schools. Maybe we've got kids and we want to get them into that school so they can start right off the bat. In this event, most real estate agents are not going to do rentals. It's just not something that pays a commission, so they can't afford to spend their time doing it. But in the event that I have clients that are going to purchase a home down the road and we just need to find something for maybe 3 to 6 months, then what I'll do is I'm going to scope out all of the different places that you could rent, and I'm going to help you negotiate a short-term lease so you're not locked into something that's 12 months. So that way you can get out of it when we do find your next home. Now, part number 2 of the video, the steps to purchasing a home while you're relocating to Kansas City. We're going to break these down one by one. So we're going to cover financing first, because after all, this is one of the most important parts of the preparation phase. The step number 1 of financing is we've got to find a local lender. The reason you don't want to use like a big lender that services all 50 states is because usually if that's the case, it's going to be difficult for them to have market knowledge where you're purchasing a home, which matters. 2, it means when the listing agent and the seller see your offer and the lender on your offer, they're going to prioritize a local lender because that local lender has a local reputation. They're easy to get a hold of, and the seller and listing agent know that borrower, that potential buyer who wrote the offer, is not waiting in that long line of customers that you would otherwise see with a national lender. So that's the first thing, is we want to find a local lender. And whether you know of somebody or you're looking for somebody, I have linked my preferred local lender, Sarah, down in the description. She has excellent communication. She's not going to leave you in a long line waiting with other customers. She's very responsive. In fact, the moment that you in your mind think, oh, I've got to reach out and ask this question, she's probably already sent you an email or she's in the process of writing it. Very on-point communication. So step number 2 of financing, when you're moving across states and maybe you're getting a new job, maybe you've already got a job lined up, financing requirements can be a little stringent and difficult to work around. So here are some best practices. Number 1 is if we're a remote worker, we need a letter from our employer saying that is the case and that it does not matter what state we're living in, that we're still going to make our same income. This means it could mean several trips to HR because HR likes to write very vague letters, and usually your lender is going to want something very specific. If you use Sarah down below, she'll work directly with HR and try to communicate with them as best as she can to make sure this is not an issue. The second important thing we want to make sure we're getting is a letter from, if we've got a new job lined up, is a letter from that new employer that is an unconditional job offer. So there's no condition like you've got to be licensed in this state. It is a job offer that is certain with a guaranteed start date and some guaranteed type of pay. And if you're a commission worker, I get it. I am too. I know it can be difficult. There are other things that we can work around, but if that is the case, we needed a letter from your employer, even if you work on commission, like this is the minimum amount that they're going to guarantee that you're going to make. Now that we've got our financing lined up, we know what your budget looks like and what your ideal monthly payment looks like, then we'll set up the home search. And I know you've got hundreds of websites that you can go and search different homes. The problem with them is that the MLS is the primary resource, okay? Those other websites, the MLS propagates that information to all of them, which takes time. So we're at a time disadvantage when we're using those websites, even if they seem a little bit easier to navigate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set you up on the MLS so you see properties that go active immediately, but I'm also going to give you access to some properties that are not even on the market yet, properties that are in pre-MLS status. This means they are entered into the MLS. They are set to go active at a specific time. We know the sales price. Sometimes there will be a picture, sometimes there won't be. We'll be able to look at Google Street View to assess the exterior condition. We'll be able to look at other homes that have sold in the area to see what the inside could roughly look like. Okay, so that's going to give you a huge advantage. And all this comes down to is time and information. If you have the best information and you can act quickly, you're going to be able to find a deal, even though many other people are not. Okay, so the second part of this is if we've got a long enough timeline, so we've got months to search for this home, what I'm going to do is every home that you like, I'm going to put that data into a spreadsheet. And after we've filled it up, we've put a few homes in there, and those homes have sold, we're going to know exactly how long it takes those homes that you like to sell. Okay, other home buyers might not have that information. We're also going to know if those homes sold above, at, or below the list price. So we can write one offer, get it right the first time. I can't promise that, but this will put us in the best position to do it. Once we've got the search process set up, then it's time to start touring these homes. And even if you're hundreds of miles away, we're still going to tour them. And here's how. I'm going to either FaceTime, Google Hangouts, or Zoom. So we'll schedule a time to video chat these homes so you can see them in real time. You can tell me where to point the camera, and I can be your eyes and ears there. You can ask questions right then on the spot. The type number 2 is I'll film a video not only of the house, but of the neighborhood so you can see exactly what it's like to live there. Now, while I'm there, what I'm looking for on your behalf, are there any weird smells? Are there any big animals or pets next door with the neighbors? Do we see any red flags there? Is it really noisy? Is there anything that we want to avoid, that we want to cross off of the list? Okay. I'm also looking inside for any structural issues, any issues with the quality, the workmanship of any updates or repairs, etc., that have been done. I come from a construction background. I flipped several houses. My dad builds houses, and I work with him to do that. So I've got an eye as to what I'm looking for, and I have people that I can double check so I can get a second set of eyes for you. I'm also looking for any issues with the basement. In Kansas, there are some houses in the area that will have issues with water coming into the basement, and that's not something that we want. We want to make sure the house that we find you is free of any defects. Once we've found a house that you're ready to put an offer in on, whether you're here and you've seen it in person, or we've done all of that vetting to make sure it checks all of your boxes and there are no red flags, then we'll go ahead and put that offer together. Before we do, what I'm going to do for you, because after all, this is an investment and we want to make sure your money is safe in this home, that you're going to get a return on your investment as long as you hold it for a few years. Now, the way that we'll do this is I'm going to put together an executive summary. So I'm going to summarize the previous sales of several homes that are very similar to the one that we're going to write an offer on, so you can make sure that you are not overpaying for the home. And if anything, we're getting it below market value. So that's the goal, is to get it below market value, because then when you go to purchase it, you are making money. So let's say we get it 10 below market value, you just made $10,000. Now, in these situations, I know it can feel super odd if you've never stepped foot in the home before. Even though we've done all that vetting, you might feel a little uncomfortable writing an offer on it without seeing it in person. Well, that's why we'll write it as long as we can, as long as the market allows us to. We're going to get an inspection done, okay? That way, during the first 7 to 10 days, which is how long most of the inspection periods will last, you'll have a chance to travel in, to see that home, and then decide if it makes sense to move forward and order the appraisal or not. Now, if you are here for the inspection and we find anything, then we'll either decide if it makes sense to negotiate a credit from the seller, have them repair it, or just back out of the contract and find a different home to purchase. Now, in the event that you are not there for the inspection, the same deal applies. I'm going to video chat it for you so you can ask any questions to the inspector in real time. If that is unable to happen, I'll film a video of it. I'll ask him all of the important questions. If you have any that I haven't covered, then we'll call the inspector back and make sure that we get those answers for you. Now, as we move into that closing process, right, the final part of the transaction, at this point, you've written your offer, few days after writing the offer, we've paid the earnest money deposit online through the title company, and we're ready to close. We've passed the inspection, the appraisal looks good, we're ready to go. So we're going to plan our final walkthrough. Either you can be here for the final walkthrough, or we can do a video chat or just a video of it. What we're looking for is to make sure that property is in the same condition it was in when you made your offer and got it accepted. Right? We're also looking to make sure the seller did any repairs that were necessary. We want to do that before closing on the home, right? We want to make sure the product, the home that you get is acceptable terms and conditions to you. So after we've done that, then we'll set up the final closing date, right? Where we're signing all the paperwork. Title will send those for e-signatures online, so you don't even need to be here. So your lender might require a notary to go out and notarize all of the documents while you're signing them. That's very common. Otherwise, they can have e-signatures sent out. Sometimes it can be both of those, but we'll solve any issues on that front when we get to them. After you've closed on the home, maybe you still haven't moved in yet. Maybe we need to do some updates and repairs before you actually move. If that's the case, then what I'm going to do, or whoever you end up working with, what I suggest that you negotiate up front is that they're there to help manage and coordinate vendors and contractors to come in and do that work that you need done, and to let those contractors in, right? Because they're your boots on the ground. I'm your boots on the ground if you're working with me. I want to make sure everything's taken care of so that by the time you move here, you don't have to worry about not having electricity, running water, internet, or having, any repairs done that have to be done. So that's kind of a broad overview. Obviously, every person and situation is different. So to get a specific action plan for wherever you're at and whatever your timeline looks like, all of my contact information's in the description. Either send me an email, a text message, follow the link to my website. We can schedule and book a Zoom call so we can talk face to face and create a specific plan for you. I'd love to meet you and see if we're a good fit. If you enjoyed this video, then hit that like button for more videos that'll help you along this journey. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any. Thanks for watching the video. I'll see you on the next one.